Hey there, kiddos. Welcome back to Storytime with Grampy Fat Rat. Today we're going to be reading one of the 6 stories from the Storyland book, Bedtime Story Tree. I'm not sure who wrote the stories, but it was wonderfully illustrated by Eric Kincaid. Today we're actually going to be reading the Rainbow Fairies. The Rainbow Fairies. One day in the countryside, when the thunder and lightning stopped, a beautiful arch appeared in the blue sky. It was an arch of red, orange, yellow, green, blue, indigo, and violet. The arch was called a rainbow. This was the time when the Rainbow Fairies arrived. It was always very exciting whenever the new Rainbow Fairies arrived. All of the older fairies would gather at the end of the rainbow to greet them. As soon as the rainbow appeared in the sky, the baby Rainbow Fairies started to slide down the arch. Rainbow Fairies did not come very often, but when they did, there were lots and lots of them. Unlike other types of fairy, the Rainbow Fairies arrived with their wings already beautiful, for as they slid down the rainbow, it brushed against them, painting them in all the lovely shades. At Rainbow's end, the fairies bounced onto the grass, and their wings sparkled as they tried flapping them for the very first time. But there was one baby fairy who could not flap because one of her delicate little wings was torn. The older fairies gathered around and tried to comfort her, but the poor little fairy was much too upset. Queen Rainbow flew over and gently took the fairy by the hand. "Do not cry, little one. We will soon have that wing mended, and then you can fly with all the other fairies," she said. "But how will you mend something so fine and fragile?" sobbed the baby fairy. "We shall take you to a master who spins only the finest silk," replied the queen. Queen Rainbow led the fairies through the grass to the bush where Old Spiny had his web and workshop. When they arrived, the fairies made a circle around the bush. Then Queen Rainbow went up to the cobweb and gently touched it with her magical wand. Just one light tap was enough to bring out the largest, friendliest spider that you had ever seen. The spider crawled onto the large stone and smiled up at Queen Rainbow. "Hello, Old Spiny," she said, stretching out her arm and stroking the spider's head. "Would you be so kind as to mend this baby's wing?" I think she was too excited and slid down the rainbow much too fast. "Well, well," said Old Spiny. "Turn around, little fairy, and let me see what you have done." Old Spiny put on a large pair of spectacles so that he could see more clearly. "Yes, I see the trouble," he said. "I will have the little tear fixed and mended in no time." The spider winked at the baby fairy, who smiled back shyly and blushed. Old Spiny carefully tucked the thread of the finest gossamer into the baby's torn wing. Then he started to turn around as the silk came out of the cobweb sack at the back of his body. Old Spiny turned delicately one way and then the other until the tear was mended. All this time the fairies had stood watching in wonder as the baby fairy's wing was made as good as new. And no matter how hard the fairies looked at the mended wing, they could not see the tear. Then the fairies cheered loudly as the baby flew up and down in delight. Old Spiny gave what was left of his fine thread to the birds for their nests, and the fairies said goodbye to the kind and friendly spider. Darkness was starting to fall over the fairy dell, and normally this was the time for baby fairies to go to bed. But not tonight, for a rainbow day is a special day, and tonight was just right for a party. The end. Thank you, kiddos. I hope you all enjoyed it. Come back tomorrow. I think we're actually going to be probably doing Pinocchio. Have a good night. God bless. Love you.